See if you can put that. One bar.
Good afternoon and welcome. Call to order the September 14th meeting of the Denver Public Library Board. First item is call to order. Anybody see that? Introduction of formal business to the board, and I don't believe we have any visitors here today from the public that wish to address the board. Just to make sure. Hearing none, okay. Public hearing of the 2024 proposed budget. Floor. You what? I will read this. Public hearing of 2024 proposed budget. Having been duly published at least 10 days before today's hearing on the Indiana Gateway online website, www.budgetnotices.indiana.in.gov. Notice to taxpayers was provided for the EPL budget estimates and requested tax levies for 2024. Following this meeting, any 10 or more taxpayers may object to a budget, tax rate, or tax levy by filing an objection petition with the proper officer of the EPL board not more than 7 days following today's meeting. The objection petition must identify the provisions of the budget, tax rate, or tax levy to which taxpayers object. If a petition is filed, the EPL board shall adopt with the budget a finding concerning the objections in the petition and testimony presented. Petitions may be filed in person at EPL Central to the attention of the Denver Public Board, EPL CEO, COO, and Director of Finance. Cool. This is pretty scripted here. So I will now call on Director of Finance, Lori Tomlin, for summary of documents distributed to the board and update of the board's of the budgets and levies requested for 2024.
First, I'd like to welcome Willard's new director, George Carter, and business manager Kimberly Higgins, who joined us tonight. The official notice to taxpayers as read by President Eric was posted in advance of the deadline, well in advance of the deadline, more than 10 days prior to these meetings. And all budget forms are reviewed by the DLGF Southwest representative during the 2024 DLGF virtual budget workshop. An estimated budgets and corresponding levy rates were calculated per the prescribed method of the DLGF at or under the state maximum growth quotient. Based on the notice to taxpayers, budget form 3, the total estimated budgets for all 5 funds are under the maximum allowed of $22,375,135 for the library to remain in non-binding status. The estimated levy request for the general operating fund is the amount listed at the civil max levy as populated by the DLGF. And even though it shows on form 3 that our difference, our increase is 4.07 or 0.07 over the maximum growth quotient, this is due to the rounding when the DLGF calculates the abstract levy and rounds to the nearest dollar. And levies are certified at that time. The maximum levy is requested by EPL because, as you can see on the notice, property tax credits are estimated to be $2.5 million, which comes off the bond levy directly. For the board members, I would also point out on the accompanying forms that you received, the bond interest and redemption or debt service fund budget was revised after the first budget reading. You may have noticed the debt service worksheet presented at the August meeting shows a larger payment of the 2023 general obligation bond. This was due to the later than normal net assessed value and estimated miscellaneous taxes and revenues that are distributed by the state budget agency being sent out to the local government agencies. And those are used to aid in our budget calculations. So once we received those, we went back and reassessed revise the repayment plan for 2023 of our general obligation bond. Therefore, on Form 1, you'll see the budget for, as we like to use the acronym BIRF, Bond Interest Redemption Fund. It's approximately $37,000 less than what it was shared last month. Overall, that brings a total increase for all five fund budgets down from 3.57% increase to a 3.35% increase. And again, that's under the 4% maximum growth portion. At the bottom of Form 4B, the calculated levy rates are based on a conservative 85% of assessed value reported in the county's certificate of net assessed valuations this summer. We use this standard reduction on the recommendation of the DLGF. In the event appeals or other factors reduce the net assessed value reported in the fall before levies are certified. Therefore, what Form 4B reflects then is an exaggerated levy rates. So instead of 0.0167 on Willard, you'll see that it's a much higher rate at this point, but that's because we use a lower net assessed value. Again, the general operating fund reflects a civil max levy request as it does on the notice. The debt service initial request equals that of the budget. However, during the certification process, the DLGF will calculate the levy dollars to ensure the total operating balance as of December 31st, 2024 does not exceed 15% of the 2025 scheduled payments that is allowable under state statute. And then Willard's special library fund levy is estimated on the maximum levy growth quotient of 4% added to their current certified levy. Unless a late fall change in assessed values occurs, the estimated levy should equate to a rate of 0.0167 of the assessed value. Otherwise, the amount is reduced to stay within the maximum rate of 0.0167 set by the state legislation. This fund amount is also subject to property tax credits.
Are there any questions? Comments? Comments from any of the taxpayers that are present and or the board at this time? There you go. Close this part of the meeting and move ahead. Thank you, Lori. Next item is correspondence, and we'll get a yellow folder going around, the two items we'll have passed around. Next item is the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve. Is there a motion? And a second? Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Governance. Operating fund appropriation transfer. Or
In your package, you see a resolution that states where it has been determined that it's necessary to transfer appropriations from the two various budget items in the library operating fund. It will be resolved by the Evansville Denver Public Library Board that the following transfers be made. And you'll see that there are 3 salary lines that are being increased and 3 benefit lines, which include Social Security, FICA, per our state pension plan, and then the portion that is paid by the employer for the employee also is for the pension plan from the state. Those are all increased to offset the expenses that will be incurred with the addition of the new salary structure that was implemented at the beginning of the month. And then the next section down is those line items that will be decreased. Those include technology maintenance agreements. That was an offset of the implementation or integration of the ILS system, which will now be charged to our library improvement reserve fund. Building repairs that we have not incurred. Our strategic priorities, which we will not be using, instead we'll be transferring those dollars into salaries and benefits. The normal budgeted transfer to library improvement reserve fund will also be transferred and not used this year. And then furniture and equipment and technology equipment.
do I hear a motion to approve? There's a motion, a second? There's a second. Any discussion?
It's just to clarify,
So I think we talked about this when we were going through the salary, increases. And you let us know this was coming. So to finish out this year, we've done that, we make a capital ahead of time by the budget for the coming year already. With salary. Correct. Just one thing. Thanks. And this alone with our new bonus salary.
Just under that amount.
And nothing good for money problem.
We have, yes, we have alternate, funds that we can use. Like I mentioned, for the technology maintenance, the migration to our ILS system, but we can take from the work account. And then anything that might happen with the building repairs, we can also take from rainy paper. This is our best estimate for through the end of the year. We may have to, put one more forward in December once we pack it over those final pages of the home. It's very small notes.
I gotta ask, I don't understand the numbers. 1 is 3 and 4.
Oh, those are the categories. So the budgets by state law are broken down into 4 categories.
I get that,
Yeah.
I can work in my head. My Excel would do that. All right. There's a motion on the floor, no additional questions. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item, internet policy renewal. Brett.
Each year, I'm required by the Indiana State Library to present the internet acceptable use policy to the board for review. The major parts of this policy, which have not changed from last year, so everybody knows, are that we, warranties expressed or implied for the function or content of the internet, which means when customers are surfing the internet, there's no warranty and what people may see or view or transactions that occurs on those computers. Copyright, we ask that the customers follow copyright law. Privacy, we respect our customers' privacy and take it very seriously. And that we filter computers, public computers, for the usage, because we have to comply with the Children's Internet Protection Act. Those are the main parts of this policy, which again are the same. It's the same policy that we had last year. And it's nothing you have to sign by representing the board each year, just to review. If you have any questions or comments regarding the policy.
Require approval.
Just a verbal approval on that type of sign.
I don't need to. There's a motion, second. Any discussion? We do have, something that's not on the topic, but so this one, point out on F first and feedback, and you know how big this project is. Switch over, and just wanted to thank you for reading this up and the work that you done. I know this has been huge.
Thank you, I appreciate it. A lot of teams there work very hard on it. Yeah, the people involved, so I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
And I read the entire policy every time I sign on to the meeting. Acceptable use.
Okay.
Recover.
Recovery, okay.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Finance report, appropriation report.
For the month end of August 31st, 2023, our appropriation balance for our operating fund is $6,457,526.81, or approximately 43% of the original budget plus encompasses.
Report of investment.
Also, as of August 31st, 2023, investments in our state investment pool of Trust Indiana for 4 funds equates to $15,099,300. The average daily yield for August was 5.2909%, or up 0.15%, and The average daily bill year to date was 4.8560, up 0.5 since July. Yeah, as you, well, you'll see at the end of September when we do for October meeting, when we do a quarterly update, you'll see that we're 2,000% over our budgeted investment income for the year. And it is a lot, and that's because the interest rates have been much better this year than anticipated when the budget was set.
Approval of bills. Most good. It's good. As good as the board, I'd like to ask the board approve the various invoices and payrolls that have been done with that calendar month. In particular, the invoice payroll investment of it on $623,788.25 for general enjoyment. $340,539.36 for the office payroll, and $486.83.98 with all payroll. Any discussion, questions? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, none. Motion carries. Staff spotlights. Favorite part? Eric Wall. And friends.
Hello, I'm Erica Cole Barnett, the programming manager. Hi, I'm Kelly McDaniel, I'm programming librarian. So we are passing out a packet that highlights the summer reading program from this past summer. We compiled some quantitative and qualitative data to show you how successful and wonderful it was. We're going to just go through each page fairly quickly, but feel free to peruse, and if you have any questions at the end, we'll be happy to answer them. So on the first page, you get to see a picture of our beautiful logo. I have to shout out our marketing department, especially Faith Connell. She's on vacation right now, but I hope she maybe watches this. She did a phenomenal job with our graphics, so I just wanted to highlight those. The program ran from June 1st to July 31st, so we had a good full 2 months. The first page shows our registration numbers for the summer. We are still creeping up post-pandemic. We had a couple hundred more participants than we did last year in 2022. So we had almost 3,500 participants. We also provided you guys a visual of our reading logs. We had 4 for different age groups. In those logs, they had the way to track their reading. They had activities that they can complete for extra entries. They had a suggested reading list, a survey. They were all in English and Spanish. So we had both languages represented on every single log. The next page, we talked about the completion, but I really wanted to highlight the total books read, because in 2022, we had just a little over 24,000 books read. And this year we had over 45,000 books read in 2 months, which is more than we had all of it in 2022 for the entire year. So way to go, Evansville. I hope everybody's watching. Shout out to you guys. We did a fantastic job reading this summer. We also have included some pictures of some highlights that you can see here. We had activities where people could get additional entries, and our most popular one was for people to attend a library program. We had 462 people decide to earn an extra entry by attending a library program. If you turn to the next page, this highlights our summer volunteers. We have 32 very enthusiastic teens sign up to volunteer throughout the summer at many of our locations. There are some fun pictures included on that page as well. All of our volunteers collectively earned around 1,000, well, a little under 1,000 community service hours. So they did everything from helping with, day-to-day quiet tasks, whether that was preparing crafts for a children's program or helping to straighten shelves. And then we also had them actually helping with a lot of our big programs, especially our Bubble Fest. So that's always a lot of fun for them to have that experience. We even had them come on our EVPL podcast as well and talk about their experience. So overall, it seemed to be a great experience for all of our teams, and we very much appreciate their hard work. If you flip to the next page, we also wanted to highlight some of the feedback that we received from our summer survey. We had a survey for both our staff members, just to kind of get their perception of the summer program. And, you know, they're the ones actually interacting with patrons on a daily basis. And we also had a community survey that was included in the reading logs that people picked up when they registered. And we also had an online option as well on our website. And you can read through some of the wonderful feedback that we got from both staff and our community. And then finally, I know you guys probably get the program statistics in a larger packet, but I wanted to pull those out and show you how wonderful our summer was. We were, as always, very busy out in the community and within our buildings. We had numerous programs. We had over 17,000 attendees in June and July at all of our programs total. And then we broke them out from in-house, off-site outreach and digital programming, so you can get an idea of where our programs are and who all we're reaching out in the community. We also included some of our favorite pictures from programs throughout the summer. Personally, I really like the one at the top of Stephen from West doing Bubble Fest. That was his first Bubble Fest. He had no idea what to expect, and he killed it. And I took that picture because he was so excited. So I really wanted. Probably not happy that we put that in there, but it was such a great picture. It just really encapsulated what the joy was of Bubble Fest. And if you've never been to one, I highly recommend it. Do you have any questions about this packet? This is a very brief overview of everything for the summer. There's so much that we did. It's really hard to put it in a few pages.
Well done. Thank you. This kind of stuff is really proud. I do have one person in fact.
Okay.
Can you describe the digital program in relationship to a program like that?
So the digital programs, those are kind of what we have continued since the COVID era when we were doing most of our programs. We've had some that were really successful, like our chapter book story time. Still gets a lot of views. People really enjoy sitting down and listening to those at home. So those programs that have been very successful, we've continued in that digital format to offer that as an option.
Well, kudos to you because there is a trend across the country that fewer and fewer children are reading for enjoyment. And this will validate that, at least in this area, we are seeing a upsurge of that, which is certainly necessary. So thank you so much.
The total books read, if you look at the kids' statistics, it's just amazing to see what they accomplished. And I also, while I have the microphone, I wanted to invite you guys to come to our last Speak Series event next Thursday at O&EP's Ballroom at 7 p.m. Brad Meltzer will be there. I hope that you will all join us.
Thank you.
I have one question.
Oh, yeah.
This is volunteer page here.
Yes.
What are they doing in both?
So I can speak personally from Oakland because as the former youth librarian at Oakland, I can tell you one summer at Oakland, I had 42 volunteers, which is a lot to manage. They are very dedicated. It is something that I saw from my experience that kids grew up wanting to do. They saw older siblings, the big kids doing it, and they aspired to it. I went to their kickoff and I saw one of my old Storytime kids now volunteering at the library. So it's just something that is happening in Oakland that has been happening for a decade.
Thank you very much. Other business. Updated 2023 holiday and library closed.
Yes, the third time this year. The original date of the holiday breakfast / dinner was listed as a date to be determined with a closure of 2 to 4 hours. The library administration we worked with together, and we would like to have a dinner this year, kind of changing it up after over 20 years. And so we selected the date of Monday, December the 18th at 6 p.m. This will take place here at Central. Therefore, ABPL is requested to close 2 hours earlier to allow time to set up. Proposal, EPL seeking the board's approval to the revision of the library closure schedule for 2023.
Second.
Attorney Scott, any questions?
I do have a question. So because these central 2 hours are later, how would this impact, or would that be across the entire system?
Across the system. It gives them time to close up and then you get the very end here. Help us with, getting everything set up as well.
Yes, that's cool.
And watch for your invites.
Thank you for all the setup.
Yes, it's a lot of work. And then getting the caterers in here and getting them to be able to get everything set up and all that good stuff, it takes time. I'm gonna let Scott talk on that.
We're just trying to be equitable to the staff, and closing 2 hours early, this is the staff.
Well, the second question is, the 2 hours is a simple work, or they can make the time up.
As we've always done in the past with our breakfasts, we do not open until later as well. And so it's no different than what we do it as a breakfast. So they're basically working the same amount of hours. Coming in, and because if they're coming in earlier. Yes.
Any additional questions? Is it still for everyone about the power of the system and the time to go to other countries? Before the training time. And it's good when the brand is not doing it.
If they choose not to, breakfast for children, depending.
So I think that is an important point. In my experience, I've been here, we've had a huge turnout from the staff, and they've all been here almost with a camaraderie, and then see everybody else, so.
Right.
And so your point is, that if they choose not to come to the event, they do have to take these together.
Correct.
There's also staff parking in the east to it, where, we're actually here.
Any additional questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Abstaining. Any abstention? Yes. Okay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item. Eclipse, informational in action. We have. Is there anything new from last time that added to this? I should have waited. You're right, you're ready to answer all my questions before I ask.
No, you're okay. I understand. Essentially, the official, but the only thing that needs to be updated is that I did inquire the staff about their interest in whether they'd be interested in, that was redundant, but you know what I mean. The option of it being a holiday and we would be closed that day, and then it would be in replacement of another already approved holiday. So if it's decided that, yes, we will close all locations, then they are willing to have that as the option. Or we'll replace with another one, say President's Day.
I'm good.
No, not Christmas, I don't think so. I don't know how they go about that. And then unofficially, at the last regional eclipse meeting, several organizations announced that they would be having an event. They didn't specify what it was, but downtown Evansville is having an event, the Ford Center is, Evansville Museum is, and effectively that will result, I'm not sure which event is resulting in the shutdown, but they will be closing Riverside from Cherry to, I believe, either Court or Vine Street. So that will be causing even more overflow of traffic into the side streets of downtown and then on there.
Any additional guidance from city public officials, from law enforcement, from?
Just the same message that if you're planning to make a decision, make it sooner rather than later and be prepared on the day of for traffic to be difficult, and be prepared, have backup food, water, and gas in your car in the event that you are stuck in traffic for hours at a time. And not to stop in the middle of Lloyd Expressway to look up at the sky.
You know that's gonna happen. We don't have to act on this, because there's nothing pressing us to act, because we choose to. What? Yeah, I don't think there's any reason not to, if we feel comfortable with the direction at this point in time. And I'd love many motions from a board member to start discussion.
I would make motion that we celebrate President's Day on Thursday, not on particular, and there is, liability.
Motion, do I hear a second?
Not second.
There's a second on the floor, discussion. All right, hearing no discussion, I'll just call for the vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We shall be closed on Tuesday. So we will be here on President's Day.
Yes, and to reaffirm, we will be doing a lot of programming up to the event for education. We put together a subcommittee, and we have a rough plan for glasses dissemination, because at this time we plan to have about 24,000 glasses to get out.
Let's just be Lisa has to come back before the holidays.
Well, luckily that's the campaign
Oh.
that's coming probably next month. So yes, we kind of hold off.
So actually, being closed and I think it's gonna be just from the last one that dealt with to the south of us, I think it is gonna be a very interesting, more than a day.
Unfortunately, this can keep ahead, but last night about possible use of the parking lots. We'll find ways out there for throughout the office that they go forward.
I did not pursue it any further until a decision was made of what we were going to do for our staff, but I can definitely bring that up with the subcommittee and the next time we meet. I believe we're meeting next week.
Just before.
Certainly.
All right. Next implementation step, aspect of the plan.
Right now, the building grounds committee has not met this month as of yet. We're basically at the same place we were last month. We're having met with the county council as recommended, as well as the county commissioners. There's very good feedback from them, I believe. I think everyone's on the same page of what we need to do. They all have the information. And we let them know that this is what's going to the board, and board decided how we need to bond for future facilities, whether it's any series or individually or whatever recommendations of the building grounds to the library board as well as the board.
Okay.
That's up to the building and grounds chair.
So we will, that was a good, by the seat of your pants response. We'll be having a building and grounds committee meeting here shortly. I think we do have some feedback from several of these other meetings that might help steer the decisioning and how we can forward this address. So we'll get that on the agenda in short order. All right. Announcements.
And I have one, I'm gonna echo Rick's, and kind of pull my thunder here. The staff have done a phenomenal job with the migration, not only the IT staff behind the scenes, making work with technical services staff that is keeping the catalog, writing, trying to catalog the materials that we haven't been able to do for a month, but the frontline staff, the amount of training they went through in a short period of time to learn to do this and all those things where it's not the same, and basically trying to learn and things are going live. With patronage, and the Nicole staff in particular, as they're opening a new location, and trying to move a location while training was going on, or food champ working on all of this. So, they did an awesome job with with this, and we heard positive comments both from the staff and some of the public as people are getting to look at the catalog, so we might have something.
And that's.
But
You said,
they were awesome.
you said it, and I thought somebody might say something about the McCall Ranch and the move to Washington Mall. If you watch our social media posts, you're up to speed on what's going on, but if anybody would like to give just a quick blurb on the status of that project, I would say, rather than, I went by there yesterday, it looks fabulous. It looks wonderful. It's kind of neat to see it in the mall when you walk in there and you walk into the actual library part. It's just fantastic. And I talked to some staff and we're very excited about being able to be open. And they said they had like 43% of the collection they were able to
Squeeze in that little place.
play in over there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel crowded at all either, so.
It's stored.
I think Vermont has it in its car out there.
We do, but foundation, the library foundation was nice enough to let us use their still storage that we have at the mall. And so we're storing it there for, those who reopen. Thank you.
It was shown on, the, news several times, in a very positive light, very, very positive light.
Claire, how many people did you see yesterday? Do you know offhand?
Traffic count for today was over 300.
Nice interview.
Well, I would just say well done, because that was sort of a dilemma that we struggled with a little bit, the hurdle of landing in this decision and doing this, and so far, it looks like it was the right thing to do for everybody. Well done. Any other announcements? Hearing none, I will call for the adjournment. Second, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Sabrina? Aye, okay.
Thanks for checking in.